statements in Java. The video 1 on while loop statement in Java has been done. It's been presented, and then this is the second part. This is the second video. In the first video, we discussed on the forever loop, which is a loop which doesn't stop. Actually, it may not be a mistake for a programmer to come up with a forever loop, because it is sometimes needed, and we've seen a scenario where we're able to break out from the loop, that is from the forever loop, infinite loop. And now we shall discuss on this, letting the user decide when to quit the loop. That is, here we are going to allow user to stop the loop whenever he wishes to stop it. So, as we said earlier, that the forever loop is it is important, only that a developer should know when to set it. Now, here is a question before we start. This is what we are going to do. That we write a Java program that counts even numbers starting from 2, 4, 8 and above. The program always asks the user a question: do you want to keep counting? Yes or no? It's then okay. If the user chooses Y, that is yes, then the program continues counting even numbers. But when the user responds with no, then program stop counting and print sorry, that was close. So you see, the quickest way of implementing this is using the while loop, the forever loop, and then you ask user to present his response, and the response determines whether to continue counting or not. And the result, this is the program. We're going to write our own from the console, and this is the result of the program. The result of the program is this: that it first of all prints the first even number 2, then it asks a question: do you want to keep counting? If you say yes, it prints out another one, which is an even number. It keeps asking you, and then it goes by your response. When you say no, it stopped. So this is the one of the applications of forever loop. Let's now go to our source code, our IDE, where we write our source code, and I'll create a class here called forever loop, and let me say 2. I wrote one before this, I think. Let me say forever loop or forever loops. Let's go by S, forever loops. And then I needed public static void main, that is main method in the program, and this is our class. So we can end of the class. This is very good. It's a comment. End of the method. It's really good, and then you stopped it this way. I remove the undo, the to do auto generated stop, because I want to write my stuff here. So let's understand the question that the program counts even numbers. So, but then we need a cost. We need to ask question, and the user should respond to our question. So first of all, we need we actually need this scanner class. You can define your scanner class because we need a response from user. So you can define your scanner class. Let's say sc user answer. Yes, and then new scanner class, and then in here I introduce the system.out sorry, system.in, let the input from user. This error message tells you that you need to import some libraries, which are scanner, java.util.scanner, which is this java.util.scanner. Scanner class is a class which has been developed, or it has been developed or programmed to be within the util libraries of Java. So we all know this right from our 201, I mean. And then the next is we wanted to come up with a loop here, and the loop, let's begin with our counter, and then the loop counter and the loop counter initiation, and let's say int counter here, and then we initiate it to 2 since we are counting even numbers, and then while yes, so then you end of the while block. So this is the block at which while starts and ends, this starting and closing brace. So here we need an endless loop, endless while loop. So you give it true, always true. Now, so after that, so let us first of all, we're going to print out something which is our statement within the loop, and what we print out is this system.out.println. we print out the counter. This is how the result look like. So let's go by the counter. We only print out the counter itself, and then we ask question, do you want to keep counting? Right, so let me print out the counter here, println, it breaks the line, and then we need to initiate the input to this, and then before then, let me introduce another local variable here called my answer. Since it is a local variable, I mean, not really local, it's a global one, a global variable. So I can now, I mean, I must not initiate it, I must not initialize it. So I need it here, and then I need to collect the response from the user. So I can now say this, and then I collect from information from, or input from the user. Okay, yes, since it is I'm working on the main method, and of course I need a static class. Static here needs to be static. I hope you know the reason why we introduce static here. This also you need to give it static. If you don't want to give it static, you can produce everything within your main, which is very simple. Remove all this, remove this static, because static is associated to main. Remove this static, and then copy from here to here down to your main. So that is it. But now we are now declaring our variables as global variables, not local, which is very good. It can be invoked anywhere, it can be used anywhere within the program. So here now I'm trying to collect response from the user using the scanner class, and then here I print out because we need to print at least once, at least one result. One result must be printed at least once before you'll be asked question whether you need to continue. That's why our print out statements comes above here. So this is an output statement. It outputs even number. Okay, so then I ask a question here. using a control structure selection. If my answer, because user is going to respond, and actually before this you need to set out the question here to the user that he should supply question. Do you want to keep counting? So that he should respond to the question. Do you want to keep counting? So now let me print out. She's out. Do you want to keep counting? It's a question. It's a question. So you may introduce this yes or no. So this comes first. It's a question here. Questioning. Question that needs an answer. So the answer will be stored inside my answer, and then you carry out some kind of decisions with if statement. So if statement here, if this is the end of the simple if black. So you need a response here. If the response equals, it's only when the response equals no that it stopped working. So you can go by that. You don't need to introduce else part here. So here equals, please pick this equals ignore case, because you don't know what the user is going to use, whether lowercase or uppercase. So if it equals n, this it will ignore the case, whether lowercase case sensitive or uppercase. I mean whether lowercase or uppercase. So with this now we can write our question. I mean something here. Not necessarily, you must not necessarily introduce this close brace, because it is just it's a simple if. But then it is always good for you to write codes that are understandable by others. So here I will write this, that if he says, we need to write our counter here to our increment variable, the increment variable. So the increment variable, first of all, once it is no, then you break. And then before that, you need to increment the loop, because the loop begins at this. So your counter should really increment even when it is out of the loop. You should increment it to counter plus equals to 1. Sorry, plus equals to 2. Or counter equals to counter plus 2. Same thing. Counter equals to counter plus 2. It is same thing. It is same thing. Here you increment counter, and then here you terminate loop. That is the meaning. You terminate the while loop. You terminate it. So but then when you terminate, we would like to introduce something out of the while loop here. This is your condition, the while loop continuation condition. So the loop continuation condition. This is where the loop continues based on the condition written here. Now we have written true, so it always continues. This is what breaks out the loop, and then at the outside block of the loop, then we need to write this message that says do you want to keep counting? No, you want to keep counting? No, the last one here that says this, but then I've refined it to this here that says sorry, that was close. Yeah, this is what we need at the end when you break out the loop. So here at this point we are out of the loop. At this point we are out of the loop. So you now say she's out. So you can now say sorry, you're out of the loop. sorry, you are okay, sorry, that was closed, sorry, that was closed, that was closed. So this is the program we're asked to write, and then let's run it. It has been run, and then let's see. It asks you, it offer, this is what we need. It will first of all print out the even number, first number, and then it asks you question. Do you want to keep counting? If you press yes, press enter, it continue counting. It printed 4, yes, press enter, it printed 6, yes, press enter. But when you print, you see now it is a forever loop. It keeps counting. It keeps counting. I mean, anyway, I checked my video whether it's running. So it keeps counting the even numbers. When I say yes, it keeps counting. This is 10, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But then if I want to stop, you see now that's the topic. We said letting user to decide when to stop, when to quit the loop. So now I wanted to quit the loop, then I'll introduce no, and then I press enter, then it says sorry, that was closed, and then loop has ended. So this is the one of the scenarios you can implement endless loop or forever loop using, and then we introduce the break statement that breaks out of the loop. It terminates the loop, it stops the loop, it quits out of the loop. So that is it. Let's look at our result here. Maybe we wanted to introduce a space in between this no and the sorry. So you have ways of doing it. You can print out system.out.println here with nothing inside, with nothing inside, like this. So it prints out just a line. It will just break out a line. Or if you like, you come up here before you write this statement, you can introduce \n, which means another line. So let's run again and see. And then this is my console. It has printed 2, which is the even number, and then I will say yes. Now I'm going to use capital. You see it works because we have introduced ignore case. This is what takes care of either supplying capital letter or small letter. This very statement that says equals ignore case. It's ignoring whether you have used capital letter for your response or not. So go back to the something. The loop is still there. Can you see? Now let me make it small letter. You see it continues. And now I would like to introduce the no, and you see there is a space in between. So please go through what we have done. Now let's quickly move to the second to the last stuff here, which is using continue statement. Now how do we introduce continue statement in our while loop? This is the question. The break statement is rather harsh. It completely bears out of course it gets out of the loop. It bears it out. So sometimes that's what you need. But just as a phone, you don't really need. I'm reading directly from the text, and you don't need to quit out. You just need to skip. Sometimes you don't need to quit out of the loop. For example, now this is what we did. From when it is at 16, we quitted. But then at times we don't need to quit out of it. Maybe when it is at 16, we don't want it to print out 18, and then we wanted to print the next one, which is 20. So you don't need to break out from 20. It continues. So we don't need to print. We don't need to quit it out. Sometimes but we need to skip a particular number. For example, this phobia program presented earlier in this. So it gets out of the loop at 12. So in this way 12, you go straight from 10 to 14. So it bears out of it from 12. And this is the result. Maybe you may understand what we mean here. Look at it, starting from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Instead of writing 12, it then printed 14. So and then it continues. So this is what we call continuous statement. It doesn't get out of the loop, but it stops somewhere. So let us write a program that does this. All we need to do is to check at 12 it should continue, and then but then, this is not an endless loop, rather it's anyway, it all depends what you are doing, but then we need to find we need to stop it somewhere logically. So we are going to present numbers, even numbers from 0 to 20, but then we quit out from maybe 12. I mean, we continue from 12. That means at 12 we don't reach 12. That's the meaning. That's the meaning of continuous. So we don't read out 12. So we skip 12. That's another meaning. We skip 12 and then that's all. So let's see how we write this program. So for by virtue of this result, it tells us that we need to write odd numbers in this in a horizontal way with spaces, and then we skip 12. Here we don't need to ask any question. We only write from within our while statement, and then so let's see what's the name continue statement. So let me create a class called continue statement. Continue statement. Yeah, continue statement. I name class continue statement. End of the class. End of the main method. Okay. So remove this